I want to welcome back to the studio the mayor of Battle Creek, Dave Walters. Dave, good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Richard. Happy Thanksgiving to yourself
and
to all the people listening out there this morning.
Yeah, boy, turkey should be thawing by now, shouldn't
it? I would certainly hope so, unless it's outside.
Right, that's right. Well, it is another year that's gone by, and Dave Walters is up for another year as mayor. How are you feeling about that?
You know, I feel really humbled and really lucky. You know, I work with the great commissioners. I represent a great city, and I've learned a lot over the last year in particular.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this last year seems to have zoomed by. We were just remarking about that was just Flag Day or something a minute ago, and here we are at Thanksgiving. But as you look back on this year, anything stand out to you that was of particular significance as you look back?
You know, there are some things. I think the first thing is, you know, we've had a new city manager. She's actually not new anymore. However, it was her second year in that position, and she's doing a great job. You know, we're working through different things with her as well. Our commission, I think, is getting stronger and closer. I really believe that. Not that there was a great divide of any sorts, but I think we're working together. You're seeing more votes that are unanimous or close to it. We certainly want the commissioners to represent the people they represent, but I think we're seeing that as one of the issues right now.
Mm-hmm. And by that, I presume you mean that even though if the votes aren't the same or you don't necessarily agree, there's a level of understanding that goes on.
And you know, there is. And what I've noticed this last year in particular, there's a lot of talking among the commissioners, you know, and I don't by any means mean backdoor politics. What I mean is, you know, if we have a question, another one does, or I do, about a certain interest the commissioner might have or work with, that we're able to talk, you know, pick up the phone or text or call or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so other things that have taken place over the last year, I mean, there's been ups and downs, certainly. We talked last when you had come back from your overseas trip, and now we're expecting foreign students to be situating themselves here before long.
Absolutely. You know, I'm real happy that is taking shape. You know, I'd be lying if I said we weren't certain which way that was going to go, what path was that going to follow. But with the help of Ted Deering, other administrators, and people inside the city of Battle Creek, John Hart, as an example, we do have a solid agreement with the South Koreans, still massaging the one with the Chinese. Mm-hmm. And then I can't announce it yet, but there's another country we're working on right now which looks like they're going to be on board.
Okay, wow. So it does probably help then when you're making those cases if others have already agreed or have situated themselves here, which of course will be the case before long.
Exactly, and I think that's the case here. South Koreans were on board immediately. You know, as we know, it's not a secret. They've already, you know, made an offer in purchasing some buildings and looking at others in the city of Battle Creek, and they're committed to this. Mm-hmm. So that is pretty exciting to build up KCC's, you know, numbers, as well as Western Michigan University's numbers here in Battle Creek and Kalamazoo, and I think it's a great regional project as well.
Mm-hmm. The buildings to which you refer, those would be housing situations, wouldn't they?
Yes, actually both.
Okay.
You know, Washington School certainly was purchased by them, and I don't know if the papers have been signed or what the status is at this moment, but they're looking at that both for a place to do some instructing and then the property around there. I was told possibly bringing in some dorms, you know, building some things like that as well.
Mm-hmm. Right. Have to have a place to lay your head at night after you do all that work.
Absolutely, you bet.
Mayor Dave Walters is here. We'll take a break and come back and look back on the year and also talk about what's on his mind as the coming year approaches as far as city business is concerned. We'll get to that coming up. Mayor Dave Walters with us this half hour on WBCK. All right, so that's exciting. We've got those initial agreements with foreign students, probably more, at least discussions about more. And so this thing has picked up momentum. Those folks, we presume they'll come and they'll spend money in the community and you know, they'll be bolstering economic health while they're here.
Certainly. You know, the goal was to, rather than export, you know, things, for lack of a better term, is to bring some things into Battle Creek in this area. And there was a study done in the United States about other cities that do this, and 22% of the students that will come to the area will end up staying in the area. And I think that's wonderful, that we're offering this. And just to clarify one thing, too, I did have a citizen reach out to me and say, well, gee, are we taking positions away from, say, locals or state students, from KCC or Western? That's truly not the case at all. This is looking to expand, not take away from anyone. So we want them to mix right in with the normal KCC and WMU population and do what they need to do.
All right. We were saying similar things yesterday about when we were chatting about the Bronson Teaching School effort that's underway, that a number of residents that come here, not the hugest number, but a contingent of them, end up staying and practicing medicine here. 22% in this case would stay, statistically speaking, if the numbers are accurate. That's a decent amount.
Well, I believe it is, too. And like you said, it adds to our economy. It adds to our diversification. It adds to so many things. The list is long as it being a positive for the city of Battle Creek. So it's really fun and exciting to be a part of that.
Well, and it's interesting because some folks might think, young people who have traveled the distance that these ones will travel might find it easier to turn around and say, okay, where's my next adventure? I want to go to New York, or I want to go to L.A. or something. Not in every case.
Not in every case. And I think that our position in Battle Creek is important where we are geographically between Chicago and Detroit. So that was part of the talks with the individuals from the other countries of, they can live in Battle Creek, a nice Midwestern city. Yeah. And, I've got to make one plug for Gogwak Lake. Surprisingly, the Chinese and South Koreans have really done their homework on the city of Battle Creek, and they were fascinated by the fact that we had a lake, a recreational large lake, right in the middle of our city. They also knew about our rivers that go through our city. So they had done their homework and thought it would be a great place for to send their kids, and do that.
Right. And we love lakes, too.
We do. We certainly do.
That's right. Mayor Dave Walters is here. WBCK, Mayor Dave Walters of Battle Creek is with us right now. So coming year, is there something on the horizon that you're particularly focused on here?
There is. Obviously, our charge as commissioners is, has to do with the financial safety, health of the city. So obviously, that's a big focus. We want to make sure that we're doing things the right way. And I think you're seeing right now there's a trend of all the commissioners in their own way are challenging some, not the decisions that are being made, but we want to make sure we're doing it right. An example might be the new bond proposal that just went up regarding the police department, some other things like that. And we certainly want to support our police and make sure that they have the best facilities, the best training and equipment that they can, we can provide for them. But we have to balance that somehow with the monies that we make. I do not want to see us tax the citizens of Battle Creek, anymore.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that particular proposal is one in which folks probably react like you did. They say, okay, yeah, that's great, but is this the right time to do that? I guess you could say that anytime.
Well, yeah, I think you're right. You certainly can. But, we also don't want to wait. There are some things, we have to do some triage. And I think that is one of them that we need to get it together and work on. I think the other one that jumps out at me right now, and the city administration is doing a great job working through this. There's always been this perception that inspections and code compliance, that it's not up to par, or a lot of complaints come from that. We have some great leadership in there right now, department heads and such, that are really diving into that. Like Marcy Gillette, she just did a great presentation at our last meeting saying, where are we going with that and where do we want to be? And I guess what I look at is we need to step up our customer service, obviously. Not that it's been poor, but we can always make it better. And the other thing is, we need to protect our police officers right now in the city of Battle Creek. Well, and everywhere. But yeah. Yes.
You hear some of these stories like yesterday from the weekend where police were being ambushed and things. And when you're this close to a police department yourself, it makes you cringe a little bit.
It does, and each and every one of those officers that work for the city of Battle Creek or the sheriff's department that's within our city limits, or whatever it may be, they've got to know that we've got their back. We are trying to use monies properly to help them and have that equipment, whether it be get up to full staffing or whatever it takes. But they need to know that we do certainly have their back.
Mm-hmm. There's always a little bit of a roller coaster ride going on with jobs and development and that sort of thing. We've been on the cusp of new downtown development that has been, creating some anticipation, and we are still sort of there with a tower and things downtown. It sounds like we're close to something there, but we're treading carefully.
We are. We want to be cautious. We want to spend the money wisely. But you know what? We've got some good people, Richard, in some great places. John Hart downtown doing his thing. We have, obviously, a new leadership at BCU, Battle Creek Unlimited. Lots of energy, and we hope that just blossoms more than it ever has. Mm-hmm. We are doing more meetings, city administration, myself, with BCU and the TIFA board, to really make sure that we are on top of this and we do what's right for the citizens of Battle Creek and that economic growth that we need, and economic maintenance as well. Mm-hmm. We need to do the best we can, and a lot of people are trying to keep the companies that are already here happy and be fully staffed.
With regard to that, our treasurer-elect, Brian Wensauer, was here and when he was campaigning, and talked a little bit about some concerns about how we try to spur that development downtown. As you know, the land bank might sell a building for a reduced rate, knowing the amount of investment that will have to go into it to turn it around. Do you have any concerns about that sort of thing?
I did initially when I got on the commission, 6-7 years ago, whatever it was, and it was hard to understand why are we given such big tax breaks, as an example, or tax abatements, mm-hmm. and where are we going with all that? What is indeed the end process? And we actually did put a committee together, a tax abatement committee. So that's one example of where we went from just arbitrarily giving any company 12 years of tax abatements to now, with the help of BCU, and particularly like Doug Voschel, who had worked there for many, many years, yeah. We actually now have a tiered system that I believe is fair. So a smaller business startup or existing one, if we need to do that, then there's certain hoops that they have to jump through. But it's tiered where not everybody gets that. So I look at that as a win-win.
Mm-hmm. Always a little bit of a roller coaster ride as it relates to jobs. The Treehouse announcement leaves some question marks about the future of that facility. How are you feeling about that?
You know what? It certainly does. And the honest answer is I wish we knew those things were happening in advance. Yeah. At least I'm aware of the fact that we didn't know that was coming. At least I didn't. And so we'd like to be able to work with those people. But I can tell you that BCU is taking an active approach of, even though an announcement has been made, going in there and saying, hey, what can we do? Is there a way to change this? Can we bring this back? Did we drop the ball somehow? What can we do to make it a better experience for a company like that to stay in Battle Creek?
Are there any rumblings that would be similar to that you are aware of? Concerns about other entities that might be considering moving or changing their status here?
None that I'm aware of.
Okay.
In fact, I think if we made a list, I don't have any on that list, but I do have quite a few. Am aware of some projects that are taking place, and there are other companies looking to relocate to Battle Creek, international and both domestic, as well as there are companies that we have in Battle Creek that are looking to expand. That list truly outweighs the other one. It really does.
Well, that gives us some confidence then. As you look at the big picture.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Missile defense is another thing that's been talked about in this region. I imagine you're in the loop of that. Has there been any movement there?
I am in the loop of that, and I like to be in that loop, being a veteran and such as well. And the airport in that area obviously is one of our best assets in the city, besides our people. And I was advised that, our position is looking good. Obviously politics plays a role at some point in all of these different things, but we're hoping that we have been at that such a positive level, and that area out in the fort does fit the needs of what they want to do regarding the missile defense system, that we're going to be the winners, you might say, in getting that. And I think that's going to be a tremendous boost for this area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was the notion that we got when we talked to Fred Upton about it. He felt very confident saying even, Battle Creek's number one on that list. The trigger hasn't been pulled just yet.
Correct. I was new to this process, how they're actually doing all the legwork first to say, hey, these different places are and can handle that and are able to do that, and then they'll seek the funding for it. So it's kind of backwards to what we would be used to doing.
Mm-hmm. All right, we'll stand by, and we always appreciate the time you give us. Mayor Dave Walters, come back whenever you want.
I will. Thank you so much.
All right, take care.